Welcome back. Hastings Mqhayi is getting ready for a fight with the South African government, and this over the design of the country's flag. He claims he is the original designer and that government is ignoring his calls to be recognized. Mqhayi says he wants the true symbolism of the flag to be known.
Truth about what took place when one was designing the flag must be known. And when one looks at the flag, it is a national symbol. Even if I can ask you now, what's the meaning of the flag? There is no proper legal document that is stating the meaning of South African flag. I doubt if other countries are like that. The reason is that the submission that I made when I was designing the flag was never taken to consideration because the chairperson actually flooded the procurement processes and could not take any document that has my name on. So if it can be corrected that the meaning of the flag and the colors is A, B, C, D, and the fraudulent means that were done to obtain the flag are corrected, that will satisfy me. And also the people of South Africa associate themselves with the correct meaning of the flag. That would make me feel justice is done. Yeah. And also the artists that are having their works taken by the people who are having power, who are in positions, can also be rectified. Then I'll be comfortable.
Get clear reaction from the Arts and Culture Department, Themba Mabaso, about Mr. Mqhayi's claims. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Mabaso, and thank you so much for your time. So, Mr. Hastings Mqhayi says he is the original designer of that flag. What says the government?
Well, this is the first time we engage with Mr. Mqhayi. At first, he approached us. He had two claims to make. One was the denosa, the coat of arms, and then the national flag. And then we started with the denosa one. Our job at the Department of Arts and Culture, Sports, Arts and Culture, there's a section called Bureau of Heraldry. The job there is to design and to register coat of arms and flags. That's what we do on a daily basis. And therefore, whenever a client comes in to looking for us to design for them, they will give us a brief of what they want to be there, and then we'll design the first draft. We'll send it to the client, and the client will give some criticism, will come back to us up until there is a final design. That can take from 6 months to 2 years, depending on how complicated the process is. But once the clients approach us, we start a file. A file is the one that whenever there's some communication, we stick it there. In the case of denosa that he started with, we produced a file because we registered that coat of arms. And it was proving that Mr. Mqhayi was nowhere to be found in the design process. And I think he was also convinced because there is a proof for that. But concerning the South African flag, we indicated to him that the process will be longer because it has been 27 years since this design was made, and therefore we were going to go back to the archive just to find out whether Mr. Mqhayi's design is part of those that are archived. When we start with that, in 1993, the government called for the public to submit proposals for the new flag. That was around September. And in October, by then, we have received more than 7,000 proposals from schools, from design studios, from the general public. And therefore, we kept them. What is good with government is that whatever we receive, we keep it in the archive. And therefore, this one in particular was archived as part of the CODESA and the multi-party negotiation collection of the archives.
So, Mr. Mabaso, you're saying this process, you're saying that you did say to Mr. Mqhayi that this process would take a long time, but he's then saying there's been no communication recently, hence he's resorted to taking the government to court. When last did you speak to him, and why has it taken so long, and now he's resorted to this?
There have been a number of phone calls that he'd made, but we realized that also the phone calls are not helping out because we were busy working on the process. There was a letter that was sent to him explaining the whole process that will unfold. Remember that if you're talking about an archive of items that are about 7,000 and that need to be scanned and then digitized, that's a long process. While we're starting in 2020, the lockdown started. Therefore, we couldn't be going to the offices and also getting a service provider to do the scanning, because we also didn't want to do it ourselves. We do not have those facilities. We did secure a service provider, but they could not start in time, especially March up to the time where the lockdown was relaxed. It was then that the company was allowed to be inside the building to start scanning those particular archives. They are very sensitive archives. Therefore, they took some time doing that because they had to go one by one, zooming from the front, and also some of them had some writing on the back. When they finished in 2020, especially finished around end of November, we had to take those particular files and go through them with a fine-tooth comb so as to identify now all those entries that we received. It was also time-consuming. Because of this particular claim, we took it as something we need to do thoroughly rather than to rush it for the sake of bringing a conclusion very, very fast. Therefore, we took time to make sure that we get it right. And I'm glad to inform Mr. Mqhayi that in this month of May, he'll be able to get his reply. I think we are about to conclude then. We are just going through the quality control systems now about that particular process.
Okay, so then,
we're not running away.
So now that you're saying that in this month of May he'll get the reply, are you then committing to ensuring that this does not go to court?
Well, it will be up to him, but we are having to go through the archives in order to make sure that we've got all the proof, because the first thing he's claimed, he does not come with the proof himself to show that this is his original design. Therefore, we did not really put him in the tight corner because of that. We said, let us go in and look at our archives. Therefore, whatever we find in the archive will be the evidence that will bring forward for him.
And just quickly before I let you go, Mr. Mabaso, sorry to jump in there. Just quickly before I let you go, we are out of time. One of the things he's asked is that government, give the true meaning of the flag. Is there a true meaning of the flag? Does the country know what the true meaning of the flag is?
Yes, it is. I think if you look at the book of the South African Constitution booklet, there is a chapter that deals with the flag. It explains what the design of the flag is all about. And also we've done a number of literature that also explains the design of the flag, what the whole Y-shape mean and so on. Therefore, it is there.
All right, Mr. Mabaso, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That is Themba Mabaso from the Department of Arts and Culture. Coming